Hello there and welcome back. Come on in, get cozy, get comfortable, because it is time for another episode of Coffee and Crafting with the Cocky Crocheter. Today, I am very excited because I recently made a trip to Dallas, which I'm sure if you've been following me, you saw that I went to the big DFW Fiber Festival and I had a fantastic time. I got to see all of my friends, got to meet some new ones, got to get a few lovely trinkets and some yarn and everything like that. If you want to know more, definitely check out my Instagram story. And yeah, there's that. But today, one particular thing I want to focus on is a very special thing that I got while I was in DFW Fiber Fest, and that was the Tunisian Crochet Handbook, a beginner's guide by the queen of Tunisian herself, Miss Toni Lipsy of TL Yarn Crafts. She is somebody that I have been following for a while now, since she was first just doing videos of pattern tutorials, and then she started going into hook reviews and product reviews and yarn snob reviews, and now she's just blown up. She's so big and wonderful, and she was there. She was at DFW, and I got to interact with her on several occasions. I got to hang out and stitch with her for a bit, and she even wrote me a nice little note and signed my copy when I bought the book. So today's episode, what I'm going to be doing is I'm busting out the set of Tunisian crochet hooks that I got from AliExpress. So AliExpress hooks were something that Toni did review in one of her episodes, and so I got a set and I tried them when I first got them and have not really done anything with them. But now that I have the Tunisian Crochet Handbook, I'm going to be exploring some stitches with it. So if you want to, you can go ahead and get your coffee, get your little project, whether it's one you've been working on or if you want to try something new and join me in exploring something you don't really have a ton of experience in, then you can feel free to have a seat, relax, and join me today. All right, first things first, of course, we've got to have our candle to really set the mood. For inspiration, I'm going to have the book right next to me in case I do need to open it up for reference, but it's just going to be right there. And then I've got some yarn here. This is just some random superwash worsted weight yarn that I actually think I found this on a plane. This was, I think it's maybe Madeline Tosh or something like that. In either case, it's a very soft, squishy worsted weight yarn, and I've used it in my tutorial videos before, so I'm going to be using that today. And of course, I've got my hook set here. We're gonna pop it out. Oh yeah, oh, I remember how pretty these are. They're so shiny. Look at that. Oh, just a little clicky sound that they make. So we've got, I think for a worsted weight, I think we'll go with an 8mm, because I know that in the book it mentions that you should go about 1 to 2 hook sizes above what you would normally use. So I'm going to use the 8mm for today. I'm going to go ahead and get that set up with the cord. Okay, I've got my swivel cord attached here with my little end stopper, and I'm ready to begin. So we're just going to start with my slip knot here. All right, now keep in mind, this is not, I don't usually Tunisian crochet, so I'm a little more awkward and clunky with it. That's why. Now, in the book, I know, and like what I've seen on videos of Tunisian, is typically you'll want to work in that back bump here. But frankly, since I'm just kind of playing around with this, I'm just going to go normal work into just the chain. So, you know, if that's not technically correct, I'm like, you know what? It's okay. I'm just having fun right now. Getting this foundation row started, I want to talk a little bit about my experiences at the DFW Fiber Festival. So last year was my first year going, and I had a lot of fun. But there were definitely some things that I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this a little differently next year, because I tried something new, and just like with anything new, you kind of think, okay, I know kind of what to expect, but honestly, with no experience, you're like, okay, well, I have no idea what to expect. So it was my first trip taking a train. So I booked an Amtrak train ride from Oklahoma City down to Dallas. And I was very excited because I had never taken a train anywhere before, and I was looking forward to it, because it meant that I didn't have to drive and that I could also bring my crochet with me and I could work on that instead of, you know, spending 3.5, 4 hours in the car, dealing with the traffic down there and everything like that. So I did that, and I'm glad I did it. It was a great experience. Sorry, just so much fun. But it took so long going by train. And then when I was in Dallas, I had to walk everywhere and rely on public transportation to be able to get where I needed to go. And even things that if I had driven would have been like a 5-minute drive was like a 20-minute walk. So it was kind of a pain. So I felt like I was spending a lot of my time walking, and I didn't really get to just freely go where I needed to go for the festival. Again, still had an amazing time. I also got to meet some friends, to hang out with them, and I was very excited. And I was very excited to get to see them again this year, and I did get to. But I also got to make a lot of new friends this time around, which was something that I had not anticipated, because I was like, I'll definitely still see a lot of the old faces, but I didn't know how many new faces I was going to encounter. But oh my goodness, this year I saw so many new faces, made so many new friends, and it was just such a blast. This time though, I did drive, because I was like, I want to have control over where I get to go. I don't want to have to spend all my time walking everywhere. And thankfully, the convention center did not charge you for parking. So I was able to drive there, and it was just fine. I didn't have to pay for any parking. I just parked my car in the parking garage, and then everything was right there in walking distance. It was amazing. It was so good. I'm probably just being very generic about it, but it was so good. That's the best thing I can say about it so far. Right now I am trying the Tunisian knit stitch, which I have done before, just like as a practice, but it's been maybe like 4-5 years since I worked anything with a Tunisian pattern or stitching. So yeah. Anyway, so last year, being my first experience, a lot of it was new. The setup, the location, how you planned your meals, all the new different yarn dyers that I had never met before. And I also got to kind of show off, a couple of my designs, but they were also all sweaters. I had a t-shirt, a sweater vest, and then I had a couple sweaters. But they were all like kind of thicker, heavier clothing. And I don't know about you, but if you know anything about Dallas or Texas in general, that place gets hot. It is muggy and hot, and it's not the best place to wear anything that might be heavy or thick. So I learned pretty quickly, especially if you're walking everywhere outside, that this year I wasn't going to bring sweaters. I was going to be bringing a lot more summer wear. So I actually was able to last minute finish up my Wave Strider tank top and was able to wear that on that first day, which actually is what I was wearing at the beginning of this video. And it was great. It was breezy and comfortable, perfect for that weather. And it drew a lot of people's attention. Like, they loved it. It was very, or at least the people who I talked to seemed to like it. And it was just a lot of fun getting just to show off that I could do more than just sweaters. I could also do a mesh tank top with this fun, cool wave design in it. It also happened to be what I was wearing when I first met Tony at bingo on Friday night. She was very sweet. I found out that she was at the Fiber Festival because a friend of mine had seen her and gotten a picture with her, and I was so jealous because I was like, oh my gosh, I want to see her. But I was out at dinner with some of my friends, my peeps from Oklahoma City, who were also down there. And so, we were like, oh, it's okay, I'm hanging out with my friends. But then I saw her at bingo and I was like, I'm just gonna do it. So I went up to her and I said, I'm so sorry. I do not mean to bother you, but I just wanted a quick moment to say hi and how excited I am. And I was like, I'm gonna fangirl. And she was like, I can handle one more. And I was like, oh my God, yes. I believe, I would like to think that I kept my cool somewhat. I don't know what her experience was with me, but I didn't ask for like any autographs or pictures or anything because I was like, she's with her people. They're sitting down. They've probably been talking to people all day. I just wanted to quickly say hello. And she was so nice, and she loved my tank top. Like, she said, oh, this looks so good. And had me put my information to look me up in Instagram. Unfortunately, there was a lot of cell traffic, so it wasn't necessarily pulling me up, but I would like to believe that it was able to eventually successfully get onto her phone. And yeah, so it was just, she was so cool. The best. And then I got to actually interact with her more as the festival went on, because over the weekend she was hanging out with people, she was going around, she was buying yarn, and just, it was so great. And so I did get to get a picture with her and a video, and yeah, and like I said, got the book, got her signature on it, and a nice little message. Sorry, my end stopper here keeps kind of moving around on the desk, so if you're hearing that noise, I'm sorry about that. But anyway, so she and Mama Gwen both were just, oh my God, so friendly and loved to talk. They had great stories and just great outfits and just smiles all day long. I was just like, oh, they brought such good energy. And they were only one aspect of what made this Fiber Festival so great. So a couple of the other friends that I had there that I met new last year, There is the trio, as I call them, and I believe several other people also call them that. But it's a group of 3 people, 2 women and a man. The 2 women are Kate and Stacy of One of a Kate and Bah Humble. And then the guy, his name is Zach, and it's Zach T. Stout. He is a big crocheter. Kate she can do, I believe, both, but she's primarily a knitter. And then Stacy is also primarily a crocheter. And the 3 of them are just like the life of the party. Like, you know that if you're hanging out with them, it's going to be a good time. Now, keep in mind, they are besties. They like never see each other because they live in 3 different states. But they always see each other at this festival. They always coordinate their outfits and what they're going to be doing and all that stuff. And they hang out like 24/7. And it is so much fun. But just be prepared to be like, you're going to be running around. You're going to be all over the place. You're going to be talking to everybody. You're going to be hearing stories, just amazing, incredible, hilarious stories all day long. And they breathe life into everything that they do. And I could not be more appreciative of them because last year they were so welcoming. They brought me into their inner circle. They were not like cliquish or anything like that. That while they are a tight-knit group, because it's a yarn festival, they are a tight-knit group, but they're also a very flexible tight-knit group. So they will welcome any and all who want to hang out with them. They just love people. And I got to experience that, and they made last year such an amazing time that I knew this year it was going to be even better. And they invited me to join them for dinner that first night I was there. Like, no questions asked. It was just, "You coming to dinner?" Like, it was just expected. And I was like, oh my God, that's so sweet. So it was just, I love them so much. Like, I just love them so much. I have so many good pictures and videos. Not as many as I could have gotten, but they just, I can't wait to hang out with them again next year. Let's see, and somebody else. So I got to see, of course, like my yarn dyeing friends, my local Oklahoma people who got to vend down there. So got to see Tammy and Rebecca from A Chick That Knits and their friend Bev. And Bev was wearing this cute little vest, and I just absolutely adored it. And she was just so sweet and cute. Oh, it was just so much fun visiting with them. But their booth was very busy, so I didn't get to really like hang out too terribly long with them, because every time I went over there to hug and say hi and everything and get like, a little photo or whatever, it seemed like it was time for them to go help a customer, because there were just like so many people in their booth, which was great because it means they were doing really well. Let's see, same thing when I visited Yarn Dragon Fibers. That's Candace, and then she brought along one of my dear friends, Joe, and they were hanging out in that booth, and oh my God, they had so much yarn. They sold so much of it, and I just like loved getting to just sit and chat with them for a bit. Kylie from Moonlit Yarns was right behind them, like on another aisle, but they were basically directly behind them. And she told me that she could tell that I was nearby because she heard me. Like, I was so loud. And if you know me at all, you know I am a very loud person, and I have a very distinct voice. So it was not a surprise that she heard me coming long before I even showed up at her booth. So it was great getting to catch up with Kylie. And she was also very busy. Like, all my friends were so busy because they were just so successful. I was so happy for them and how well they did at this festival. And then I met a couple of other friends that were new to me. So let's see, I met Amanda and her husband, whose name I'm forgetting at the moment, but I know that online it's she owns the Lavender Fiber Company, or is it Lavender Yarn Company, I think. I don't know. I'll have to put it on here. But she and her husband, Mr. Lavender, is what he's referred to on their social media. They were the sweetest people. Like they could chat like for hours and not get tired. And I was like, that is perfect for me because I also love to chat for hours, especially when the conversation is that fun. And it was just, so magical getting to do all of that. And then I also got to meet a new friend from Red River Fibers or Red River Yarns. All these company names, I'm always like, it's either yarn company or fiber company or something like that. But at least I know it was Red River. And she was just like, I was just sitting and crocheting at a table and she was just like, I'm so hungry. And she had gotten like a concession stand burger and she just sat at the table and then just struck up a conversation. And then every time I passed by her booth, I always had to stop and chat. Like it was just so much fun getting to talk to her. And she was just like so excited to be there. She had one of the smaller booths. I think it was her first time vending there. And I hope that she was very successful. And we got to just chatting and it was just so amazing. Then I also went to a booth called Ravel Realms, and that one was run by, dang it. See, I'm trying to remember all these people's names and everything. I'm like, oh no. But I got my new Mana Potion stitch markers from. And I posted about that on my Instagram as well. And I loved her aesthetic. Like she was all about leaning into the fantasy realm, the like fantasy genre, and like everything in her booth was D&D inspired essentially. Like her yarn, her stitch markers, her bags, her accessories, tools, all that stuff. And one of my favorite things about it was when you spent $20 or more, you got to roll a D20 die and it determined a guild that you got to be a part of. You got a guild badge with it and what your class was. And then based on that, you got a little kind of like personality story. So I rolled mine and it popped up a 3, which is one of my favorite numbers. And a 3 put me in the guild of the Yarn Eaters, which, I was like, okay, that tracks. I'm a crocheter. Crochet likes to eat up a lot of yarn, and I like to consume a lot of yarn. And the symbol was a moth. And I was like, oh, so I got a little moth badge that I got to put on and wear while I was there. So that was a lot of fun. And then I also got the class of Rogue. So all about fun and chaos and adventure and always that type of thing. I was like, oh my God, that is definitely the energy that I bring. So sorry I got cut off there in the end. But basically I think that's probably a good time to wrap it up here. First, let's just check out, look at those beautiful knit stitches. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I can't wait to make a full Tunisian project. All right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had a great time. If you did, please feel free to like my video and go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell notification so you're alerted the next time that another one of these episodes comes out. And then you can feel free to join me for another coffee and crafting time. Have a wonderful day.